Okay, so here we are in part 2 where we'll start throwing some UVs on the shield. And this really won't be the most exciting part to watch as UV mapping pretty much sucks and is quite boring, but it's a necessity, so we'll just get through it as quick as we can here. Alright, let's maybe grab the main part of the shield and we'll just hide all the other pieces. And for all the UVs, we're pretty much going to be using the tools found in the Unwrap UVW modifier. Okay, so let's maybe put one of those on. Go into the modify list here, go way down to the bottom and put it on Unwrap UVW. Okay, and if you're using an older version of Max, you'll probably notice that this panel looks completely different now. And they've just redone pretty much the entire layout as well as all these icons in the newest version of Max here. Pretty much still have the same tool set, but there's a few new options in here. Okay, so let's maybe start off here by dropping this down to edge. Okay, and you can also do that by clicking on edge right here. And we'll just start cutting in some mapping seams. Okay, so let's go around back. I'm just going to grab an edge somewhere up in the corner here and hit Z so we can zoom in on that. Alright, I should mention right off the top here that it seems like Max 2012 has a little bit of display issue with edges selected, especially when you have an unwrap on. And if I just rotate around here, you can see that that edge selection there pretty much disappears depending on what angle you're on. Right, it's pretty much overwritten by that white edge, so it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. Sometimes you can't really see what you have selected, but we'll just do the best we can here. Okay, so let's go in underneath, and let's grab this edge right here in the center. Okay, and that's just on the inside of the inside here that we have. Okay, and we'll just do a loop on this edge here. All right, and that's going to go all the way around the shield. Okay, and that's where we want to have our first map seam. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom back in a bit, and we need to convert this into a mapping seam, and we can do that by clicking on this button up here, which is convert edge selection to seams. Okay, so we'll click that, and you can see that turn blue, which means that's going to be a map seam. Okay, so we'll cut one there, and we'll do the exact same thing on the other side. Just going to rotate around the back here. Okay, and we'll grab an edge, and we'll just hit Z to zoom in on it. All right, we'll grab the same edge here, and loop it, and convert it to a map seam. Okay, now this will allow us to cut off pretty much the front and the back of the shield and flatten it out. Obviously we need to unfold this border going around the entire thing, and in order to do that we're going to need to pretty much cut it at each corner. Okay, so we'll go back into the top here. Just going to grab an edge and hit Z. Okay, we'll start with this edge here, and we want to choose the one that's right here where it ends off in these other two edges, and this is the original corner of the plane that we started with when we modeled this. Okay, so we're going to cut this edge all the way around to the other side, so let's do a loop on it. Okay, and we want to have the seam end off where this one crosses it, so we're going to just need to deselect a few edges here. So we'll just hold down Alt, and I'm just going to deselect this one as well as this small one here. Okay, so we just have it selected up to the seam, spin around the back, and deselect the same two edges, these two right here. Okay, and now we'll just convert that to a map seam, so it goes all the way around to the other side, and just make sure it's touching up with the blue edge there that we put in originally. Okay, so we're going to repeat this process on the other three corners. All right, so grab one over here and hit Z. Okay, if you don't want to use the edge loop function, you can also do this by using point-to-point seam up here. Okay, so if you select that, you can just click on a vertex and it'll give you this dotted line here, and you can just follow the edge loop around, clicking on the verts to cut the seam in. Okay, so that's also pretty fast, but the edge selection is a little bit faster. Okay, so I'll finish this one off here, but I'm pretty much going to be using edge selections to cut these in. Alright, so let's go right back to that vert and then right click the end. Okay, just like that, and we'll just turn that off and deselect that edge there. Okay, so we just want it going around. We're going to do the same process on the bottom. Alright, so let's grab an edge, hit Z, and we're going to find the same edge here and loop this one. Okay, so let's do a loop on that, and deselect that one as well as the small one. Same thing on the other side. Okay, convert that to a map seam, and one more over on the other corner here. Okay, loop that edge, deselect those ones, and the two on the back. Okay, and we'll convert that to an edge seam as well. Okay, so we have the same cuts on all four corners here, as well as around the front and back of the shield, and that's really all the seams we need to add to flatten this out. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom out here a bit, and we'll go back to Polygon here, Alright, let's grab a polygon somewhere on the front, it doesn't matter which one. And we'll go up and hit this button here, which is expand face selection to seams. Okay, so if you click that, it's going to select all the polygons up to the map seams here that we put in. Okay, which is what I want. Alright, so with that selection, we'll just come down and do a quick planar map on this by hitting this button. Okay, spin around the back here. Okay, and I'm just navigating in the viewport using the Alt key and the middle mouse button in to rotate. You can pan around by just using the middle mouse button by itself, and you can zoom with the wheel in and out. Okay, just in case I haven't mentioned that before. Alright, so we'll go around the back, select a face there, doesn't matter which one, expand it, and quick planar map it. Okay, so that'll take care of the front and back. We just need to do the trim pieces. So we'll do each of these four one at a time. Alright, so let's grab a face there on top, expand it, and for this guy it should only go up to those seams we cut around the corners, okay, as well as to the inside map seam. Okay, so for this one we're going to use Pelt mapping. Alright, so with that selected, let's go up and hit Pelt. Alright, we're going to open this up, and we'll just hit Start Pelt. Okay, that's going to pull that out and try to straighten it, and that looks pretty good right there. So once that's done, we'll just hit Commit. Okay, and we'll do this for the other three pieces. Alright, so we'll go underneath, select a polygon there, expand it, and hit Pelt again, and just pull that out. That looks pretty good. And the exact same thing on the sides here, just grab a face, expand it, and we'll just Pelt map that quick. And same thing over here on this side. Okay. Alright, so now we have all 6 chunks flattened out. We'll just go into the window here. Just going to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, and you'll also notice that the Unwrap edit window here is completely different than it used to be. You pretty much have the same tools. They've added a few new ones, and I'm going to have to use a couple of those during this project, but you should still be able to follow along. Okay, so I'm just going to go up to Move here, and you can navigate through Move, Rotate, and Scale here by using W, E, and R shortcuts. Okay, and if those don't work, you'll just have to go up into the viewport here in the menu and turn on the override for the shortcut keys. Okay, and I'll let you flip through those quickly. Alright, so with Move selected, we're just going to space these chunks out. Alright, so we'll just separate them, move those apart. And we don't need to do much with the front and back here, we're just going to need to relax these 4 chunks. Alright, so let's select those, we'll go up to Tools, down to Relax. Alright, let's change this to face angles, and we'll take up the amount to maybe about 1. We can leave the iterations around 100, and we'll just hit Start Relax. Okay, let's hit that a few times. Okay, you can see they're quite twisted here, so we're going to need to straighten them out, and a quick way to do that in Max 12 is just to use this new straighten selection tool that they've added. Alright, so I'm just going to grab one of these chunks, and we'll hit that button there, and you can see that it'll straighten that out for us. And this is really, really handy. It's one of the best tools they've ever had in here for saving time. Alright, so let's grab the other chunk here, we'll straighten all 4 of these out, one at a time. Okay, and if you don't have this option, you're pretty much going to have to straighten these pieces out using Relax and maybe just some edge straighten techniques. Okay, and I've covered that in my previous tutorials where I've had UV mapping, which is in most of them. Okay, so if you need to, you can go and check out one of those other ones that has some of the old ways of doing things. Okay, so now we have these 4 pieces straightened out. Let's just relax them down a bit. Okay, so I'm going to grab those, we'll hit Relax. Okay, and it's going to feather out the ends a little bit here, but that's fine. We're going to leave that like that. We could go straighten it out again, but I don't really think we need to. All right, so let's select the front and back faces here. Okay, we'll just give this a relax as well, just to space out these verts here on the corners. Okay, so with those 2 selected, relax those, and it should only take a second to flatten those down. Okay, and that looks fine. All right. So let me just minimize the window here. Okay, we're going to put a checker on here. So let's just hit M, we'll open up a material editor. Okay, we'll grab a new slot here, and we'll go down to the map channel for the diffuse, and open it up and choose bitmap here. Okay, and we're going to just apply a checker material, or a checker texture to this. Okay, and I'm just going to use this one here. This is one my brother Chris made, so we'll just use this quick. And if you don't have access to one of these, you'll be able to download this exact one at the top of the page on CG Tuts under the tutorial details section. Okay, so let's open it up, and we'll just assign that to the model and show it in the viewport here. Okay, and it's a good idea to always use a checker image when you're checking your UVs. If you use a checker material that comes with Max, it's really not going to be accurate because that's actually a tileable material rather than an actual image. Okay, so always use an image if you can. All right, as you can see there, those checkers are huge. So let's turn up the tiling. Let's take that up to maybe 15 by 15. Okay, just so we can see the size. All right, and what we're looking for here obviously is all these squares to be even. If they look like they are stretched into a rectangle or whatever, then that means the UVs aren't good and we have some stretching in there. So you want to make sure these are all square. Okay. All right, you'll see on the front and back the checkers are pretty big, and on the sides here they're absolutely tiny. Okay, and the reason for that, if you go back into the Unwrap here, is because obviously these pieces are way too big compared to the front and back of the shield here. All right. So we need to scale these down so they're in the proper proportion here, so that both the front and back of the shield as well as all the side pieces are going to receive the same amount of pixels from our texture. Okay, and if we leave it like this, obviously these pieces will get a large amount of texture space, and these ones here won't get very much at all, and it's going to look like it's blurry, the texture on these pieces. Okay, so you always want to make sure that they're in proportion to each other. Okay, so if you want to do that manually, you can just manually scale these pieces down. Let me just grab that top piece there. Okay, I'm going to grab both these. And the way you used to have to do this would be to just manually scale these down, and you can see it changing there in the background of the viewport. Okay, so what you'd want to do would bring these down until it matches up with the checker size on the front and back of the shield here. All right, so you'd have to scale that until they became pretty much even. Okay, and same thing with the sides. You'd want those to match up as well, so you'd have to take this down quite a bit until you pretty much evened it out as close as you could. In the Max 12, they've actually added a one-click option for that, which I'm going to use right now. So we'll grab all these pieces, and we'll just go over here, and they have this rescale elements button. So we can just click that, and it's going to put all 6 of these pieces in the proper proportion to each other. Okay, so all of our texture will be even over the model, and that's a really handy feature, and it saves you a lot of time. Okay, so if you have that, I'd recommend using it. And if you don't, unfortunately, you're going to have to kind of manually scale the pieces down until you can kind of even these out in size. Okay, so let's just grab these pieces here. All right, and this is the right and left sides of the trim. So I'm actually going to rotate it 9 degrees so it's upright. Okay, and another thing you want to check for when you're mapping is to make sure that all your UV islands are facing the right way up. Okay, so with the checker material, if you have some numbers, letters on there, you can see that the A is upright here, and you don't want to leave it like this where they're upside down, because then when you're coming in and painting your texture, if you're trying to paint texture up the top here and you start painting it here, it's actually going to show up down below in the bottom corner on the model. Okay, so that just makes things a real pain in the ass. So always make sure you have your pieces facing upright. Okay, and we'll just check the other side, make sure it's upright. Okay, and you can see this one's flipped, so let's grab that. Okay, and flip that over so that everything's facing up. Okay, so now we'll just do a quick pack on these, and we're going to need to pack them later once we attach them all together, but we'll just get into position quickly here. All right, so let's grab this chunk. Okay, we'll just put this right here. Okay, we'll just make sure this is the front of the shield. Alright, so we'll put the front right here. Okay, we'll leave the left side on the left side of the UV layout, and we'll grab the right side, we'll maybe put it over between the pieces. Okay, and we'll just leave the back right next to it. Alright, so we'll get them kind of close together. We're not really going to worry about it right now. Let's also grab the bottom piece here, and we'll put it down below. And we'll grab the top edge there and just put it at the top. Okay, we also want to make sure that these pieces are small enough that I can fit into the 0 to 1 grid in the background here. So we'll scale these down a little bit more, and we'll just park them in here. Okay, and everything outside of the grid here is going to be tiled. Alright, so you want to make sure all your UV islands are fitting inside the 0 to 1 grid. Okay, so they'll get unique texture space. Alright, so let's just leave it like that. We'll park it up at the top for now. Okay, and that'll pretty much take care of the main part of the shield. We'll just check it out, make sure we have no stretching. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, so we'll just move on to the next piece here. Let's unhide all. And let's maybe grab that trim piece around the window and hide everything else. Okay, and this will be pretty quick for us to UV map as well. And let's throw an Unwrap UVW on here. Okay, we'll do pretty much the same process here. Let's go back to edge, and we'll spin around the back here and just cut maybe a loop around the side. Another thing I should mention here is you can see there's some seams on the corners here that are just automatically put in. Okay, and that sometimes happens depending on what piece you're using. You can actually turn it off by going over and unchecking this map seams option here to get rid of them. And if you really want to make sure that there's no UVs at all on the piece, you can actually delete the unwrap and put on UVMap clear. Okay, if you put that on, it's going to remove any mapping on this piece. All right, and you can just right click and convert it to poly. Okay, that'll bake that down, and then you can put the unwrap on, and as you can see, we don't have any seams there, even with this checked. Okay, so I usually apply a mapping clear to most of my pieces before I UV them just to be safe. Okay, so let's go back to edge, spin around the back here, and we'll zoom in to maybe this inner back edge. Okay, we're going to grab the middle edge again, okay, and loop it, and we'll convert that to a mapping seam. Okay, right around the back like that, and we're going to need to break this up into 4 pieces here, so we're going to cut it on each of the corners again. All right, let's maybe go into the back view here. Just going to hit Z, and we'll turn our shading off F3 and just zoom in a bit on this. All right, so I want to find a place that we can split this, and we'll pretty much do it right in the center of the corner. Okay, so this edge right here is the closest. I'm going to grab that one there. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay, this one right about here. Okay, same thing at the bottom. Select this one, and the same one over here. Okay, now we can actually do a loop on these. And let me just turn off that realistic shading here in the viewport. Okay, so we'll loop those edges so they're going around each of the 4 corners here. All right, and then we'll convert that to a mapping seam. All right, and that's pretty much all the seams we need to add for us to be able to unfold this. Okay, so the exact same process here. We'll go to Polygon. Okay, just click in the viewport to deselect those, and we'll just grab one on the top section. We'll expand it, and that should, again, just go to the corners. Right, and for these pieces, we're going to use Pelt on all of them. Okay, so let's open up Pelt again. And we'll just immediately start the Pelt here and let it pull out a bit, and then we'll hit commit. Okay, we'll do the same thing with the bottom chunk, expand that, and Pelt. Okay, looks good. And same thing on the sides. Okay, and this one here. Alright, so just run that Pelt on all 4 chunks, and then we'll just relax them down here. Okay, so let's space them out first. Okay, when you're selecting your chunks here, make sure you have the select by element option on so you can select the entire island at one time. Alright, so let's grab all 4 of them, and we'll do the same thing here. Let's relax it down by face angles and 1 on the amount with around 100 iterations. Okay, and that's going to flatten those down, and the side pieces will flatten out pretty much immediately. We'll still need to do a little bit of work on these 2 pieces. Alright, so I'm going to grab those 2 pieces, which is the top and bottom chunks, and we'll just relax a little bit more. Okay, and sometimes you can help it along a little bit if you want to rotate it just straight up. And that sometimes helps to relax, straighten out a bit. If not, you can even try the straighten selection and then try relaxing it down. Okay, now it looks like it kept the edges a little bit more straight, so I'm going to do that on this piece as well and relax it. Okay, and you can see the edges here are a little bit kind of feathered out, and that's absolutely fine. We're just going to leave that. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Okay, so let's just maybe do one more on the entire thing. And nothing's really moving there, so we'll just hit stop and we can close relax. Okay, so let's maybe pack these quickly. I'm just going to rotate these pieces. Okay, let's also throw our checker material on there. Okay. All right, let me just turn the, actually let me just scale these pieces down so those checkers are a little bit bigger. Okay, you can turn your shading on and off the viewport to with F2. Okay, so this piece here is the top, so we'll just maybe leave that like this, and we'll just stack these for now. We can figure it out later on how we want to actually do it for the final pack. We'll just do it quick. Okay, and these ones also need to be rotated a bit, so we'll just give them a rotation. Okay, and I think I'll just stack them up like that, and we'll just put them over here. Okay, and we can probably scale them down a little bit for now. And I'm just going to move them off to the side here. Okay, the reason why I move them off to the side is something I usually always do. And if you've seen any of my other UV tutorials, you'll see that I always do that. That's just because when we attach together later on, if we leave everything in the 0 to 1 grid here, all the pieces are going to be on top of each other, and it's going to take us a lot more time to sort it out. So if you just park it off to the side here, then when we attach them together, we'll have our chunks all laid out in groups. Okay, so let's park it up there, leave it like that. Just check it out in the viewport here, make sure we have no texture stretching. Okay, everything looks pretty good. That should take care of that piece for us. Okay, so let's unhide all. And we'll just keep moving. Okay, don't worry about matching the checker size right now on these two pieces. We're going to do that later on as the last thing we do before we bake out an AO map. Okay, so let's grab the glass, hide everything else. Okay, this will be really easy for us to map. Let's put it on Unwrap. Okay, I'm just going to grab all the polys on the front here. Whoops. Okay, I'll just grab those 5 polys, or 6 polys, sorry. And we're just going to do a quick planar map on that. And same thing on the back. Quick planar map those. And we'll open up the UV window here. And that's pretty much already mapped. So we're just going to stack them up. Scale them down a little bit, and just for the sake we can run a relax on it as well. Okay, that's good. And we'll just scale them so they're the same. All right, so we'll just park these over here somewhere. Probably scale it down a little bit more, and that'll take care of the glass. Also apply our checker to it, and that looks good. Okay, so unhide all again, and we'll just keep moving here. Let's spin around the back. I think we'll save the bars here for last because that's going to be a real pain in the ass for us to do. So let's maybe do these other pieces first. Let's grab this arm bar here, and let's hide everything else.